Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk's The State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick. So we're heading into the Thanksgiving holidays. Any news out of DC?
Good morning. It so far looks to be a pretty quiet week, hopefully. We did get the preview of what the House Financial Services Committee is going to be looking at over the next months. And in just a little over 2 weeks, there will be a hearing on crypto. And my understanding is that it will feature a number of CEOs from different crypto exchanges, although details, at least at this point, are still a little TBD. Apart from that, hopefully it'll be a quiet holiday to end this crazy year.
Nick, we had you on the show yesterday, right after the news broke about Jerome Powell. Just curious, since that happened, any interesting reactions from the crypto industry? It seems like not much of a reaction. That's my impression. But anything in particular, or people just kind of this is, more of the same?
A lot of the sentiment does seem to be that this is more of the same. The biggest issue people are kind of talking about is inflation. And, there's an ongoing debate about whether this inflation is temporary or not. And, many credit or blame Powell for his actions during the pandemic as, a key instigator of current inflation. So, so far it does kind of seem to be, people are just expecting, this is either a validation of Bitcoin as an inflation hedge, or, if you have your preconceived, opinions, doesn't look like those have changed much.
Nick, do you think there would have been a big difference for crypto if Lael Brainard had actually become the Fed chair?
It's hard to say. So while Brainard has spoken out about central bank digital currencies quite often, and even appeared on at Consensus this year to talk about the digital dollar and crypto in general, she hasn't said a whole lot about how specifically she might approach crypto regulations from a bank supervision perspective. And it's hard to say how she might, what sort of impact she might have on the industry as a whole. But the fact remains that, she has spoken about CBDCs and crypto quite, specifically at large over the last 2 or 3 years. So at the very least, she would be extremely knowledgeable in this area, which is something that, we're seeing more and more amongst regulators in the US this year.
Hey, we saw President Biden's releasing some of the oil out of the strategic reserve. Is that signal at least anything in terms of this fear about inflation being a serious problem, at least right before the Thanksgiving weekend? Was that more of a political move, or was there any thought behind it?
I'm sure it seems probably more of a political move than anything. The U.S. is currently looking to other nations to increase their oil output, including a consortium of some of the, I think, Far East nations that are involved in oil production, as well as trying to lead on Saudi Arabia. Whether that's going to have an impact on prices and inflation is beyond me.